What's going on, you guys? You know what today is. It's another day. It's another tier list. And today's tier list we're doing it on is going to be 90s movies. So let's get into it. Now, most of these movies I've watched multiple times. I think there's only one on this list that I haven't seen. And, I might as well throw that one on there. Newsies. I have no idea what the hell that movie is. All these other movies, though, that are on this list, I have seen multiple times. And trust me, you could probably turn on your TV right now at 2 a.m. and watch one of these movies. I guarantee you. So let's get into this tier list. We're kicking off the tier list with 101 Dalmatians. This movie, as a kid, I came out when I was like 6 years old. I watched it a couple years back when I was babysitting, and I have to admit, me as a grown 30-something-year-old man watching 101 Dalmatians, I love dogs. You guys know for a fact I love dogs. And that movie is just meh. What's crazy is, in 101 Dalmatians, you actually get a young Hugh Laurie, and it's like, wait a second. There's Dr. House. I give 101 Dalmatians as a 30-something-year-old a C. It's just meh. It's not like rock my socks off like it was when I was a younger kid. The next movie we're getting into is 10 Things I Hate About You. And on this one, trust me, there's Heath Ledger, aka the most legendary Joker you will ever watch in a live action movie. And then I can't remember the name of the girl. I just know that she's in Save the Last Dance, and she's in one of the Bourne movies, or multiple Bourne movies. 10 Things I Hate About You. I'm not much for rom-coms. It's entertaining. I enjoy the movie, and I'm a 30-something-year-old man, so sue me. Go over to Fox Family or ABC Family, or Freeform is what they call it now, and I guarantee you can watch it on a Tuesday night. The next movie we're getting into is The Sixth Sense. I personally feel, since I'm a 90s kid, The Sixth Sense was my usher gateway movie into horror, suspense, thrillers. And on top of that, it gave us probably one of the greatest directors of all time. Yes, don't at me. M. Night Shyamalan. And guess what? He did The Sixth Sense. He did another little-known movie called Signs. Another one called The Village. I think those are all great movies. And on top of that, I'll even throw Lady in the Lake in there. That movie's weird as hell, but I find it super enjoyable. But The Sixth Sense was his breakout movie. And I gotta throw an A tier. Especially, because I'm not trying to spoil anything, it's just one of those movies that I'm like, damn, I didn't see that ending coming. It's a great movie. Like I said, the first time you watch it, you'll never regret it. After that, everything is ruined for that movie. You can only watch it once and be in suspense once. And yeah. The next movie we're getting into is probably one of my favorite comedy movies of Jim Carrey's. It's Ace Ventura. I'll never forget him with the crazy hair, wearing the tutu in the mental institution, and slamming his head against one of the benches, screaming halftime. Ace Ventura, definitely an A-tier movie. I love Ace Ventura. Pet Detective. And like I said, you'll never... halftime, or in the very beginning of the movie when he's delivering the packages, trying to serve people, and he's kicking the boxes. I feel like every time I get a box delivered that's been mashed and just given to me, I just picture Ace Ventura, whistling and kicking the box. Yeah, I love Ace Ventura. Next one, Addams Family. It's going to be, I believe this is the first Addams Family movie. The first one is just okay. I'll put it in the same tier as 101 Dalmatians. I'll never forget it. It's a good movie. I enjoy it. Now we're getting into another rom-com. Don't at me, because you guys know that Aladdin is another romantic comedy. Or it's probably more of a romantic cartoon. Aladdin, great soundtrack, great animation because it's during the Renaissance of Disney. I have to put Aladdin as a B tier. Well, you know what? We're gonna move Aladdin up to A tier because I will admit I do really like the soundtrack, and on top of that, it's Robin Williams as the genie. You can't do much better than that. And we're gonna have another Robin Williams movie. A couple of them actually. I love Robin Williams. Moving into a little known movie that is called The Big Lebowski. Listen, if you have not seen The Big Lebowski, I'm telling you right now, go out, buy the movie on Amazon, go out, rent it somewhere, watch that movie tonight. Because this is breaking news right here. Right now, we're getting into an S tier movie, and we're not even halfway through the list. Sometimes I just want to live my life as the dude. And then you got the BFF Walter, and Donnie, because you have your fucking element. It is hands down one of the greatest movies of all time, in my opinion. Actually, this is my list. This is a definitive list. So trust me, it's the greatest movie of all time. Just go watch it. You will not regret it. And also on top of that, I think it holds the record for the most F-bombs in a movie of all times. I love that movie. Just go watch it. You will thank me later. Followed by Billy Madison. Billy Madison. I love Billy Madison because who eats 30-something bag lunches? I tell you who. It was that damn Sasquatch. And let me tell you, I went and I saw Adam Sandler do stand-up live probably about a week or two ago. And hands down, he was one of my favorite comedians all time when I was a child growing up because of Billy Madison, Happy Gilmore, Big Daddy, freaking Mr. Deeds, the Little Nicky, the list goes on. He had so many great movies in the 90s. And I'm telling you right now, Billy Madison is an A-tier movie. Great movie. Great movie. Now we're getting into Bug's Life. It's a Pixar movie. Bug's Life has a decent story. The CGI really hasn't held up too much over time. I watched it recently on Disney Plus. It's a D tier. It's kind of boring to me. Which we're going to roll into Clueless. Clueless is another meh. Like, if you can't tell, the C tier is like my meh tier. Followed by, I can't remember the name of this movie. I know I've watched it before. And I didn't really care for it. I can't remember the name of it. You guys will get over it. And then we're getting into Mrs. Doubtfire. Help is on the way, dear! You hear me when I'm playing video games. I yell that saying all the time. It's a movie that will hit you in the feelings. And I love Mrs. Doubtfire. Mrs. Doubtfire is a great movie. And if you haven't watched it, yeah, you're missing out. Followed by Dumb and Dumber. I love Jim Carrey movies. I legitimately do. And you realize for the longest time, the only Jim Carrey movie, and I'm telling you this right now, that had a sequel was Ace Ventura. And then Dumb and Dumber broke that up. So Ace Ventura was the only Jim Carrey movie that had a sequel up until Dumb and Dumber 2, I think it was. And then, of course, Sonic 2. But there's so many quotable lines. I will admit, when I was looking at these movies, like Dumb and Dumber, it was teetering on that S tier. Because me and my brother were always called Harry and Lloyd. We were Dumb and Dumber. It was interchangeable who was Harry, who was Lloyd. It's a great movie. And Samsonite. I was way off. Face Off. So Face Off is a weird action movie where there's a criminal and there's a detective and they switch faces. It's a weird movie. It's just it's meh. It's got Nicolas Cage and John Travolta. It's just a meh movie. Followed by Fight Club. If you got an entire afternoon to waste, I say go watch it. It's a great movie. It is really a great movie. Definitely put that in the A category. because as you're watching it, I never read the book. As you're watching it, it just flips everything on its head. Um, the next movie is going to be Flintstones. I, as a child, loved the Flintstone movie. Freaking, it was an amazing movie to me as a child. Watching it as an adult, it's a D tier. It's a bad movie. It doesn't hold up as well as some of these other movies like Billy Madison, Mrs. Doubtfire. The ones I have in the A tier have stood the test of time with me. I can go on a Saturday afternoon and watch it and not regret wasting my time. The next movie is going to be Flubber. Like I said, I love Robin Williams, but in my opinion, Flubber it's not the deal, man. It's just a meh movie. It's a Disney movie. It was good. Followed by Forrest Gump. Something jumped up and bit me in the buttocks. Forrest Gump it's a good movie. It's a good movie. Yeah, I could sit down, I could watch it, but there's parts of it where I'm like, fuck, this is so boring. I have no issues putting it in a B tier category. I know that Forrest Gump won awards, just like Good Will Hunting. Good Will Hunting, another really good movie that I'm going to put in the B category. It's a good movie, but I would have to watch it without commercials, and I don't think I would be able to watch the TV edit for it, if that makes any sense. That goes for Forrest Gump as well. The Goofy movie with Powerline. The Goofy movie, the Leaning Tower of Cheesa, like all that stuff, super cheesy, super goofy. It's definitely a meh movie. Like, I have so many great memories watching it, but watching it as of recently, it just meh. Followed by Hercules. Hercules is another really good animated movie from Disney. This is towards the end of like the Disney Renaissance in the 90's. It's a good movie. I can't put it any lower. I can't put it any higher in B in my opinion. Followed by Hocus Pocus. We are in the spooky season right now. We know people watch Hocus Pocus. And there's some people out there that might enjoy the second Hocus Pocus. But I watched the original one last year, and it's just an okay movie. It's good. It's good. I wouldn't say it's meh. I'd say it's good. It's definitely good. Home Alone, definitely another really good movie. I have to be in the mood to watch it, and that's the same with Home Alone 2. Next one we're getting into is Hook. I just remember, I love Hook. I'm not going to lie. Like, I just remember the part when they go, we need to say grace. Grace. And then they go and eat. And my dad went off on me when I tried that at the dinner table. Hook is a great movie. I highly recommend it. It's very nostalgic. Definitely a category. I can watch that whether it has commercials or not. Hunchback of Notre Dame. It was just like I didn't care for it as a kid, and me as an adult, I still don't care for it now. This is a hard one. This is a really hard one. The Iron Giant. I love The Iron Giant. It's such a great animated movie. I can't put it right now into the S category. It's going A tier. It's a great movie. I highly recommend it. Go check out The Iron Giant because it'll hit you right in the feelings. And it's directed by Steven Spielberg as well. It's a great movie. It's one of those movies I have to be in the mood for because this movie scared the ever-living shit out of me as a child. To the point where I did not watch scary movies until probably about 3 or 4 years ago. It's a great movie. Scary movie, but I have to be in the mood for it. Otherwise, I ain't watching it. And otherwise, I'm not sleeping. The next movie we're getting into is Jumanji. Jumanji, great fucking movie. It has Robin Williams in it. It had his peak in the 90's, creating great movies. Like, look, A category, you got Mrs. Doubtfire, you got Hook, and you got Jumanji. Like, what more can you ask for? We're flying through this list, you guys. Jurassic Park is a great movie. I put it in A tier. Like, it's a great movie. It's not quite S tier for me. But, you know it is S tier. The Lion King. Lion King, get up there, buddy. Get up there, buddy, next to the Big Lebowski. I watched it actually recently. I watched the original and I watched the live action remake. And let me tell you, the original stands up very well. And it's an amazing movie. I love it. Little Rascals. So I remember watching Little Rascals as a little rascal. And all I gotta say is, I tried watching it recently. And it kind of falls into the same categories of Flintstones. I have great memories about it, but it does not stand up. Matilda. I know a lot of people love Matilda. I just think it's just meh at best. It's a great movie, but it's meh. Men in Black, the team up of the century right here. You got Tommy Lee Jones, Will Smith, 1997. I was 7 years old when that movie came out. And I remember it because my aunt gave it to me for Christmas. And I loved it. Scared shit out of me the first time I watched it. But I love that movie. Mulan. Mulan's a good movie, but I kind of have to be in the mood to watch Mulan. That's why I'm putting it. I feel like A tier is like a movie I can watch whenever. B tier is like a really good movie, but I have to be in a mood for. C is just meh. And so on and so forth. My Girl. My Girl's a great movie. If you haven't watched it, I highly recommend it. I remember being a kid watching that movie, and it made me cry. Like I said, I highly recommend it. Nightmare Before Christmas, I definitely have to be in the mood to watch. It's a great movie. Don't get me wrong. It's a great movie. But for me personally, there's a certain time of year, it's like right around Thanksgiving, I'm like, I'm going to watch Nightmare Before Christmas. I can't watch it during Halloween, and I can't watch it during Christmas. It's like Thanksgiving, because guess what? That's right in between the two. Still a good movie, though. Still a good movie. Parent Trap. This is the Lindsay Lohan remake in the 90s. Meh. Pocahontas. It kind of goes into the same category. I gotta be in the mood to watch it. It's a great 90s movie. I mean, great. But I have to be in the mood to watch it. Princess Mononoke. It's a Studio Ghibli movie. Highly recommend watching it. It's such a great movie. And I'll admit, the first time I watched it, it's an S tier. This is going to be probably the only one where I might have four. I'll have 5 movies in my S tier, actually. But Princess Mononoke definitely fits that billet. And actually, looking at it, the 5 movies I'm going to have in my S tier are all different genres. So please forgive me. Pulp Fiction, it's a great movie. I put it in A tier only because it's one of those ones you have to set an entire day aside because it's like 3 hours and some change. Any movie that's over 2.5 hours long, I'm telling you right now, in my opinion, I got to set the whole day aside to watch it. And it might bump it down. Like, I know a lot of people put Pulp Fiction like S tier, but I don't have it quite S tier. It's a great movie. You have to set a lot of time aside, in my opinion, to sit down and watch it because there's so many storylines going on to really enjoy the richness of that movie because it's such a great movie. Robin Hood, Men in Tights, Blinken. Definitely A tier. Damn near S tier. Great movie, but like I said, looking at this list, I'm putting 5 in the S tier, and all 5 of them are going to be different categories. Romeo and Juliet, in my opinion, C tier, meh. Sandlot, I gotta be in the mood to watch Sandlot. That's why I put it in B tier. Same with Edward Scissorhands, B tier. Scream is actually a good movie. I'll put it A tier, especially like some of the plot twists into it. I highly recommend checking it out. 7 Seven is an A tier category movie for me. It's a good movie. I find it highly, highly enjoyable. Um, Silence of the Lambs goes A tier as well. It's one of those ones like I kind of have to be, well, yeah, I'm gonna put it in A tier because it's a really good movie, and like my mom says, it's a really good book. Sister Act, meh, meh. Space Jam. Let me tell you, I loved Space Jam the movie. I hate Space Jam the soundtrack because I'm telling you right now, I remember my fifth grade PE teacher putting Space Jam the soundtrack on and having us run for the entirety. It felt like the entirety of the soundtrack. But Space Jam is a great movie. I kind of have to be in the mood for to watch. I'm gonna get a little bit of hate for it. It's a B tier. If it had the new Space Jam would be F tier. It was dog shit. It was terrible. Stuart Little. Stuart Little is just one of those movies like I like the story. It's a great book. But it to me it didn't stand the test of time because I watched it recently. The CGI in it's terrible. Hugh Laurie again, shout out Hugh Laurie. But overall it's not that great. And the other F tier would be The Craft. I didn't care for that movie. You could probably catch it on TNT this Saturday. I swear to God, it's going to be on there. Star Wars, The Phantom Menace. I forgot this came out in the 90s because I think it came out in 99. And I remember seeing it in theaters. And it was like a month after it came out because we had one movie theater. And the line for that movie theater for like the first 3 weekends that it was out was wrapped around the theater. And mind you, I grew up in a small town. So we had to drive to town for it was like a 45-minute drive to even make it to the movie theaters. And my parents were like, we ain't standing in line, boys. We're either watching a movie or we're going grocery shopping and going home. And it was like, well, shit. Phantom Menace, I definitely have to be in the mood to watch. Now we're getting into some of the bangers from the 90s. I ain't gonna lie, The Mask, I definitely have to be in the mood to watch. So, don't get me wrong, Cameron Diaz in this movie was a bombshell. She was so goddamn fine. Great. Oh, beautiful. One of my first crushes. Yeah. And then The Matrix. Guess what, you guys? Another S tier movie. The Matrix definitely falls into my S tier category. I love The Matrix. I remember I did not watch it the year it came out. I watched it the next year. It was at a Halloween party where a group of my mom's friends got together and they were like, we're going to invite all the kids. We're going to do this, that, and the third. But we can't do anything until it gets dark. So what they did was they piled all of us into their little movie theater room that they had, which was like just a 32-inch TV. And we watched The Matrix. And let me tell you, that movie was amazing. And me at 30-something years old, I still love that movie. It's a great movie. Followed by Titanic. Titanic, it's one of those movies I have to be in the mood for. If I ain't doing shit all day, I'll sit down and I'm putting VHS 1 in, watching it, and getting up 2 hours later to put VHS 2 in. Of Titanic. I swear to God, you could go to every pawn store, every thrift shop, no matter where they're selling VHSs nowadays, and I guarantee you'll find the 2-pack of the Titanic movie. So what's funny is, we actually talked about I was talking to somebody about Toy Story the other day. And Toy Story, I watched it probably about a month ago, 2 months ago. And the CGI doesn't quite stand up to the standards like it is today. And let me tell you, You are bastards, Disney, for making me cry in the third Toy Story movie. And the fourth one. Oh man. But the first one was just so magical. I remember going to the theaters with one of my childhood best friends and watching it, and it's a great movie. Followed by Truman Show. I find Truman Show, like, I watched it. I didn't watch this movie until I was like older. And like I said, I love Jim Carrey. I think the only other movie of his that I'm like, meh, is Eternal Sunshine of a Spotless Mind. It's definitely one of those like way outlandish movies. But the Truman Show, I just found it to be meh. It's just meh. Twister. I, as a kid, loved the movie Twister, especially when you see the cow right across your screen. Twister's a good movie, but it's definitely one of those movies that just kind of hits that meh category. So now we're on to the last S tier movie, in my opinion. Schwing! We got ourselves Wayne's World. I loved Wayne's World. Wayne's World, to me, is probably one of the greatest movie, like, comedies all time when I was growing up. I absolutely loved it. It's magical. Like, I'm thinking about it now. I love Dana Carvey. I love Mike Myers. I loved the first Wayne's World movie when he goes to get the guitar. Well, he walks in to Guitar Center and it's like, hey, can I play that guitar? Yeah. Plugs it in and he goes to play Stairway to Heaven. They're like, nope. And they point at the sign on the wall and says, no Stairway to Heaven. I loved how Garth kept Twizzlers in the ceiling where you could just pull it down, cut it. On top of that, growing up in Virginia, there was an amusement park called King's Dominion. And there was a section of King's Dominion that was modeled after Wayne's World. So, of course, you had the diner for Wayne's World. You had Garth's car from Wayne's World. I have a lot of fond memories of Wayne's World. I loved it. And, yeah. So, my 5 S tier, they're not... Well, I take that back. I thought they were 5 different categories. I guess you could put The Big Lebowski and Wayne's World under the same category as comedies. But... in my opinion, you can't because, like, Big Lebowski to me is kind of a weird movie. Wayne's World is an SNL skit turned into a movie. Because let me tell you, they're missing Coneheads on here. Because Coneheads would have ended up S tier as well. Let me tell you, I love Coneheads. Dan Aykroyd in that one. And rest his soul, Chris Farley. Where's Tommy Boy? Where's Black There's so many 90s movies that need to be on this tier list. But this was a 90s movie tier list that I clicked on, and I was like, oh, there's some really good movies in here. And considering I only didn't know one, which was Newsies, I ain't never heard of it. But that's my tier list of 90s movies. It's a partial one. I'll have to find another one that gives me more movies that aren't on this tier list, if that makes any amount of sense. Anyways, hopefully you guys enjoyed that. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe. And let me know, like, how would your tier list go? Because I'm telling you right now, you're wrong. Y'all have a wonderful day and take it easy. Bye.